जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक चर स्तोत्र सत श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। दैलाशी श्री राधा राधानाथ की जय। श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्रीमन महाप्रभु की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shritapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tang Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaham Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We're reading from Transcendental Diary, Volume 4, Chapter 3, Hyderabad, August 21st, 1976. Ekadashi. Prabhupada had only a small bowl of milk and a separate bowl of tapioca for his breakfast, and for lunch a simple meal of kutta atta paratha, a potato and a fruit salad. So yesterday was Ekadashi. Some menu ideas from Srila Prabhupada's life. Yeah. Such a simple meal he had. Nowadays, Ekadashi means feast, especially in Nairobi. Srila Prabhupada called us in early at about 5 a.m. and complained quite strongly that he could not translate during the whole of the night because a dog in one of the neighboring houses was howling and whining. He said we should lodge an official complaint to the police that the owners are mistreating the animal. See here, Srila Prabhupada, there was one time he was translating in Mumbai at night, and the dogs were, there are many street dogs in Mumbai. So the dogs were making a lot of noise. So he had one of his disciples, his name was Haridas. I heard this from him, his own words. Haridas Prabhu, he was a very unique disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Because during the Pandal program, he had seen Srila Prabhupada speaking, but more than what Srila Prabhupada was saying, he was focusing his attention on Srila Prabhupada's watch. Srila Prabhupada had a nice Rolex watch, golden watch. So he was just seeing that. And he was thinking, let me follow this guru and I'm going to steal his watch. And so he followed all the devotees back to the temple, and he was like, I want to meet your guru, this and that. And some of the devotees were thinking maybe he's like a potential devotee, like, okay, fine, you can meet Srila Prabhupada. And then when he meant to meet Srila Prabhupada, he was still looking at the watch only. And Srila Prabhupada said, so is this what you've come for? He said, yes. Please give me your watch. Srila Prabhupada just removed and gave it to him. But he said, when Srila Prabhupada gave me the watch, then something happened. I changed my mind. And I became a full-time devotee. He returned the watch to Srila Prabhupada. And then he said, Srila Prabhupada gave me, because he was a professional thief. His work was during the night. When everyone is sleeping, he is working. So then Srila Prabhupada gave him the service, okay, you go with a stick around the temple, wherever you find any dogs, you chase them all away. So that's what he used to do. So that was his seva. Srila Prabhupada would love peace and quiet when he's translating. And so, therefore, it was in the beginning or very early in the morning or the middle of the night he would translate, because everyone else is asleep. Yani sa sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagarti bhutani sanisha pashyato mune. What is night for the introspective sage is day for the materialist, and what is day for the materialist is night for the introspective sage. So we find that our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they would translate very early in the morning, like 2 a.m. or in the middle of the night. For us, it's 2 a.m. is early morning, but for the materialists, 2 a.m. is middle of the night. So they would love to translate during that time because everyone is asleep, it's quiet, and they can really focus. So we see here Srila Prabhupada was really irritated by this one dog, and apparently the dog was not a street dog. It was kept in some house. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, no, you complain, they are mistreating. Even near our temple, we had some people keeping dogs. You would hear them howling. They would not give them food. They would beat them. So then someone complained to the city council, and they had to get rid of the dogs. So we find here Srila Prabhupada's compassion coming out, that, he's not complaining about the dog making noise, interrupting his work. See? He's saying, no, the dog is in distress, you should complain so the distress is minimized. So that's a wonderful quality we're seeing here of Srila Prabhupada. Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya and his men came up to Prabhupada's room to bid him goodbye. They expressed great happiness with the installation and considered it an honor to have been invited to conduct the ceremonies. Equally appreciative of them, Srila Prabhupada urged them to sustain this spirit of cooperation and help spread Krishna consciousness to the world. He happily posed for a photograph with them, and he accepted a gift of a Shaligram Shila from Sampat Kumar before they left. These were the priests who had been called to open the Hyderabad temple. And so they were performing ceremonies and all that, and they gave Srila Prabhupada one Shaligram Shila as a gift. We will see what happened to that Shaligram Shila. Saurabh Prabhu arrived from Mumbai last night, and Srila Prabhupada eagerly heard from him and Gopal Krishna Prabhu as he took his massage. Prabhupada was keen to know about the Janmashtami festival, especially since a preliminary report suggested that only 600 guests had arrived. Saurabh assured him that the festival had been a big success, and he estimated at least 20,000 visitors came over the 2-day period. He said that people had crammed in everywhere, even sitting on the unfinished balconies and the scaffolding. Referring to the low estimate, Prabhupada wanted to know where it had come from. Who is that nonsense who came and said this? Who is that rascal? Gopal Krishna sheepishly revealed that it was a 13-year-old boy. Prabhupada shook his head in mild disgust. Oh, you believe the boy? His authority? Here is the authority. You take information. How did you believe the boy? So pleased was Srila Prabhupada that with Saurabh's news that he offered the Bombay temple the Shaligram that Sampat Kumar had just given. Shaligram Shila is already being worshipped in Mayapur, and now the Mumbai temple is also becoming well established. He has decided to expand the worship. Saurabh informed Srila Prabhupada that the construction had resumed and was proceeding quickly. They are now putting up the walls of Prabhupada's quarters. He unfolded the plans to show Prabhupada the layout. Prabhupada's sitting room will be about 32 feet square, and there is a bedroom, secretaries and servants' room, plus a kitchen and reception. There will also be a room on the roof for Srila Prabhupada to enjoy the open air and fresh sea breezes. Srila Prabhupada seemed very pleased with them. So there is wonderful quarters of Srila Prabhupada in Juhu. He is talking about the quarters of Srila Prabhupada in Juhu. And you can see that Srila Prabhupada, when he left for the West, he only had 40 rupees with him. But one time he was quoted saying that everywhere I go, a Rolls Royce comes to pick me up and I get a palace to live. So Krishna gives everything for the sincere preacher. And we see here that lavish quarters are being built in Juhu, which was a very big city also at that time. And therefore we find here Srila Prabhupada, he was concerned, how come only 600 people came? In African temples today, if we get 600 people, we're so happy. Right? We're so happy that, 600 people came. But for Mumbai, 600 people is nothing. That's like one estate of Mumbai. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was concerned, how come so many less people came? But then Saurabha is telling him, no, there were actually way more. There were 20,000 people over 2 days. And now, in Mumbai, during the Janmashtami festival, they have about 400,000 people coming. 400,000 people. So, we find here Srila Prabhupada, he's showing one quality, that he's asking the people who are there. Some preliminary report came saying only 600 people attended. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada is asking Saurabha, what happened there? Then he's getting the actual information. Yeah. He asked first and then he's speaking. Yeah. Not that we get some preliminary report and we already start shooting guns everywhere. Yeah. So we find here that Srila Prabhupada, he's questioning the managers, and then he's also asking, where did this preliminary report come from? And then Gopal Krishna Maharaj, at that time only Gopal Krishna, he's saying, oh, it came from a boy, 13-year-old boy. And Srila Prabhupada was, irritated by this. He said, how can you accept the report of a 13-year-old boy? Yeah. So in this small exchange, Srila Prabhupada is showing us so many things, how he's an expert manager. He's verifying the reports. He's verifying the source of the report. Sometimes the report may be, okay, good, but where did it come from? Who is the source? See? He's verifying the source of the reports and he's confirming with the people who are actually there. And I found that Gopal Krishna Maharaj also used to do this because he is interacting directly with Srila Prabhupada here, so he got trained in this. Yeah. He would call people, ask them, call others, ask them, then verify. Two people were there, okay, ask both of them. Right? How was the festival? Who was there? Whenever we would go to meet him from Nairobi, he would always ask about the Rath Yatra. And it's not that he's just asking one devotee. He's asking all the devotees who were there, oh, how was the Rath Yatra? Who came? Who was the chief guest? So on and so forth. Right? So even in our lives, we can emulate this, that whenever someone comes and tells us something, then we look at who is telling and what they're telling and if it is true. In our GBC college, we were learning, and then there was a thing, they said if you want to be peaceful, then Socrates had a formula. Socrates was a Greek philosopher. So he had a formula saying, if you're coming to tell me something, number one, is it a good thing or a bad thing? If it's a bad thing, I don't need to hear it. Yeah. But if someone insists to him that no, you must hear it, then he says, okay, if it is a bad thing, will it improve me or disturb me? So if it's for my improvement, okay, then tell me. But if it's not for my improvement, it's just some gossip somewhere, I'm not interested. So that was his formula. Yeah. That he would not hear just any gossip. Yeah. And for us in our spiritual life, we also find that gossip destroys our devotional service. Prajalpa niyamagraha. Prajalpa. Rupa Goswami warns us against this. He says, village talk. Yeah. And we find that as we're living in a community and we're living in a temple and we're living with other devotees, this is going to come up. Yeah. But it's upon each and every one of us to ensure that we are safeguarding as much as possible from the unnecessary Gramya Katha. Who did what, how they did it, where they did it. That's not important. What is important is Krishna. He is the reality. So we find here Srila Prabhupada, he is showing by this small exchange. How can you believe a young child on the attendance of the crowd? No? So in other words, I expected better from you. I expected that you would actually verify the report before it comes to me. Right? And so therefore, we find here Srila Prabhupada himself now verifying the report with the managers who were there at that time. Saurabha went over other details of the temple and guest house facility. Provision has been made for a bank at the front entrance. Several of the bigger banks are interested, and Prabhupada told Saurabh to go with whoever offers the best rate per square foot. All the other construction is moving ahead. The second floor slab of the temple is being cast, and in 1 month they will lay the main slab of the Darshan Mandap. After that, they will start building the domes. Saurabh explained that the domes will be made from precast rings of reinforced concrete, stacked on one on top of the other. If it works here, he will probably use the same method for the Mayapur temple construction. The tiling work has already begun in the DT basement, and Saurabh was confident of the overall progress. So they guaranteed that at the end of this year, the building, that means the guest house, will be completed. And of course, that includes the temple. The only thing which will definitely go on is the marble work, the carving, and that is a very big job. But we can always continue. That is mainly outside work, finishing, so that we get the inside ready for the opening. Srila Prabhupada was satisfied, both with the progress report and Saurabh. He asked him if he had checked the Hyderabad temple. I have not gone around, but it looks very nice, Saurabh told him. Prabhupada smiled. It is after your design, he reminded him. Yes, Saurabh acknowledged, but I haven't been in Hyderabad for at least 8 months. Prabhupada assured him. They have done nice. Saurabh wondered whether he should begin to develop the plans for Mayapur, since Jayapataka Swami had told him the acquisition would come through within 2 months. Srila Prabhupada told him to wait until the sanction is actually given. He said, unless the government gives land, it may be difficult for us to get everything we need because of all the opposition. If we remain Krishna conscious Vaishnavas, then our position is very strong, he said. If there is slackness, then they will come to kill us. That we have to see. Apani achari prabhu jivera shikhai. Our behavior should be very clear. Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. Then it will be all right. So we find here that Srila Prabhupada is taking a report of all the construction that was happening in various projects. In Mumbai project was going on, the Hyderabad project was also there, the Mayapur project was going on, and Vrindavan projects were going on all at the same time. And Saurabh Prabhu was the architect who had designed everything. So we find that he designed Mumbai, and similar design to Mumbai is Vrindavan. They have the open courtyard in the middle of the temple, and then the altars are on one side. So the same architect was there for all these big projects, and we're hearing now he was also involved with the Mayapur project, and they had the technology that time was just starting with precast rings of reinforced concrete. Now they have prefabricated walls and pillars and everything. You just come and you put them and interlock. The whole floor can be made in a single week because they have interlocking tiles and interlocking technology. But that time precast was something new, and therefore Saurabh was saying he's experimenting, and if it works, then he will do it in other places. But Srila Prabhupada was asking him if he had seen his work, because he had done very nicely. He was very happy. But another thing Srila Prabhupada is cautioning against here is that for devotees, whatever we do, it should be all above board. So therefore he is saying you wait for the government permission first before we start doing anything. Because if we start doing anything and the government hasn't given permission, then it will be not above board and it will bring a bad name. Therefore he is saying that our behavior should be very clear. Devotees are meant to be straightforward. And wherever we do, as much as possible with the government agencies, some places it's not possible. Some places the government is so corrupt that you have to deal with them in a different way. But most of the time, or all of the time if possible, the behavior with other agencies, government agencies, other organizations, it should be very, very clear, very straightforward. Although other times Srila Prabhupada has also said that when we go out to preach, our preaching is ajagra vritti. Ajagra vritti is the way of the python. So what the python does is wait for the mouse to make a hole, and then when the mouse is living in the hole, the python goes, eats the mouse and stays in the hole. So he said our preaching should be like that. We go and where people have already set up something, are doing something, we go and we preach and we convert them into devotees, and even that place becomes ours then. That was he's also been known to have said that. But here we find that with government agencies, he's saying we should be very, very clear. Because there's so much opposition. In Mayapur, there was so much opposition to have ISKCON come in, that if they would start making a ruckus about how we have not done everything above board, then it would not be possible to continue. They would just make it a big issue. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is saying that it should be very straightforward. Prabhupada said that there will be always people trying to disturb this movement. Just as various demons like Aghasura and Bakasura came to disturb Krishna, he reminded us of a Bombay film producer who made a film in which he depicted the devotees as drug-addicted hippies. That Devananda Hare Krishna film, he wanted to do some harm. And he is gone, finished. Nobody talks of Devananda. They talk of our movement. So if you remain strong in your spiritual activities, these Aghasura, Bakasura we don't care for. But we should take precaution and counteract to reduce them. Real strength will remain from Krishna Balram's strength. Balaram means strength. Nayam Atma Bala Hinena Labhyo. If you are not supported by Balaram, then it is not possible. So we have got our Balaram, Krishna Balaram temple. Now in Europe, we have got Krishna Balaram. So Srila Prabhupada mentioning here that there is always opposition. In the purport to a very famous verse in the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, verse number 25, Titikshava Karunika Suridam Sarvadehinam Ajata Shatrava Shanta Sadhava Sadhubhushanam. The qualities of our sadhu are mentioned there by Kapil Dev. He is saying Titikshava, they are tolerant, Karunika, merciful, Ajata Shatru, they don't have enemies. So in connection to that, Srila Prabhupada is writing that the devotee does not have any enemies, but there are enemies of the devotee. Devotee has no enemy. And then he quoted how Jesus Christ was crucified by the Romans at that time. Although he meant them no harm, but they wanted to inflict harm upon him. And therefore, although he was Ajata Shatru, they punished him and they crucified him. And so we find that Srila Prabhupada is saying here that there will always be people trying to disturb. Always. And it's not just limited to devotees, but limited to any spiritual person. And therefore we find Srila Prabhupada quoting Jesus Christ in that purport. That anywhere some spiritual person is there will always be opposition. But he's telling us devotees that our strength comes from Krishna and Balaram. So as long as we are Krishna conscious, right, as long as we remain strong in Krishna consciousness, then nothing can happen. This movie, when it came out, there was a very famous song in it. And Devanand, the person behind the movie, the song was Dam Maro Dam. Yeah. So Dam means like drugs. So Dam Maro Dam, and then it's like Subhasham Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Right? And so it was very popular at that time. There were many articles in the paper, and there were reports that the devotees are CIA agents and all these kind of things. But Srila Prabhupada said, okay, we try as much as possible to caution ourselves and counteract these things. But at the end of the day, we simply need to remain Krishna conscious. And if we do that, then by the mercy of Lord Balaram, everything will be okay. So today, nobody even speaks of that movie. 50 years ago, what happened? It happened. It was just a phase, and it passed really quickly. And this Devanand, after that movie, he went into bankruptcy because he had put all his money there and it didn't go the way he planned it. So therefore Srila Prabhupada is saying he's finished now. Nobody talks about him. But we are still here and they talk about us. So, and many times during this period, Srila Prabhupada had said a lot of things about this movie. He said it's okay, they're all chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, they'll get some benefit. Because people on the streets would sing the same song when they would see devotees. They would joke with the devotees, they would make fun of them. But it's okay, they're chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. It's okay, let them chant. Yeah. Describing New Mayapur in France, Prabhupada told Saurabh and Garga Muni, Nitai Gaur and Balaram, Brajendra Nandana Jay, Sachisuta Hoilo Se. He is now Sachisuta. Balaram Hoilo Nitai. And Balaram has become Nitai. That's all. These two brothers. And devotees are very nice. 200 devotees are there. And they are taking prasadam on the open lawn. Very nice. Presently they are growing vegetables sufficient for their consumption and for the Paris temple. Fresh, nice vegetables, flowers, grains also they have got, barley and wheat, milk also, they own cows. So if there is milk, there is food grain, there is vegetable. So what do you want more? Enough we can grow. They have got 200 acres of land. Some portion of the land they are utilizing. That is becoming sufficient for them. And if they grow the whole land, then they can make good trade. Just like in Philadelphia, they are producing so much milk, they are selling outside $1,500 per month. Prabhupada meant our farm in Port Royal, Pennsylvania. He praised its president, Paramananda, describing him as very expert and fondly recalling the chapatis cooked for him by Paramananda's wife, Satyabhama Dasi. He gave a broad grin. When she brought, it was so thick, and how shall I eat this? But when I ate, it was so nice, soft and sweet, I ate everything. So Srila Prabhupada here is mentioning our farm project in New Mayapur. And he's saying that they have everything there. They have Krishna and Balaram, and they're worshipping Krishna and Balaram. They have some land, they have some cows, they're producing grains, they're producing vegetables. What more do you need? Srila Prabhupada, even in his purports, has written that if the world was to return back to an agrarian state, an agrarian economy based on land and cows, there would be no economic problem. The governments would be charged with ensuring that all the citizens have enough land for their needs and cows. Then there would be no economic problem. So we see this here, Srila Prabhupada saying in our New Mayapur project, the devotees had everything. You have food to eat and you have milk to drink. What else is needed? Simple living, high thinking. This was Srila Prabhupada's teaching. Now we should live simply. Therefore, in other places also, I mentioned this last week as well, Srila Prabhupada said that every temple should have a farm. Every temple should be connected to a farm community and produce their own food, because there will be a time when food will become a scarcity. And so, people will then come and see if we have our farms, they'll come and learn from us how to live off the land. So that was one of the major directions that Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish ISKCON in. It's in our 7 purposes as well, to teach people a more natural, simpler way of life. Right? And so he wanted to show this by establishing farm communities all over the world, each temple having a community associated with it. He said we can show people how to be happy just by living off the land and cows. Yeah. Said the city is just to attract people, but then we take them to the farm communities where Krishna is the center. They live off the land, there is no economic problem, and in that way they perfect their human lives by engaging in Krishna consciousness. There is a peaceful environment, sattvic environment. Yeah. So this is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. Unfortunately, it's in the process. Some temples are trying to establish farm communities, but we find that people in the cities, they're so much accustomed to the modes of passion and ignorance that if you give them a farm setting, they don't know what to do. There was a temple in Belgaum, so the Chopati temple. which is in Mumbai, had a farm project going on in Belgaum. And there, Chopati temple is known for preaching to the elite students, all engineers, very intelligent IIT students. So when they bought this place in Belgaum, they wanted to establish a farm community there. One of the brahmacharis who went there told me himself. So they sent all these brahmacharis, these IITians, engineers, to go to the farm, right? And to work there and to establish the place. And so this friend of mine, he was telling me, Belgaum was full of stones. The place that there was a lot of stones, and so they were there. They were supposed to break down the stones and get rid of them. He said, I did it for 1 week. My back started aching, my arms started aching, and I couldn't stand it. There was no running water. We had to go down to the river to get the water, and then there was no electricity. And he's like, it was just so crazy, I ran away from there. Right? And so most of those brahmacharis who had been sent there, those engineers, IITians, most of them, within a very short time, they left Belgaum to come back to Mumbai. They were like, we are city boys, city is okay, we'll preach here. We can't stay at the farm. But now they have it going, and they got some other devotees who had more of a farm setting also to go and help out there. And so they're doing something there now. But the point being that this is what we should be comfortable in, this kind of environment, a farm environment where there is mode of goodness, where we produce our own food and there is milk, and then there is no economic problem. We don't need anything else. Yeah. But to get to that means that we have to cultivate the mode of goodness and stay there most of the time. Even we have a farm in Kenya. It's the Thikaba farm, and we find that people only go there, they stay maximum 3 days, because internet signal is also not very good there. At most you can make maybe a phone call if you're lucky in some spots. Otherwise, no internet, no phone, right? And it's a very quiet place. No cars, no people walking around. There's a village nearby, but it's quite a distance. And there's a river flowing nearby. You just hear the river, you hear the cows. And so they stay there 3 days maximum. Some people, they go with a plan to stay 3 days. They stay 1 day and come back the next day. They're like, no, we can't stay there. I ask them why. They're like, no, it's just too quiet. I can't sleep at night because it's just too quiet. You can't hear anything. That silence is deafening. Yeah, and I was looking at that person and like, they're like, yeah, we need to hear the cars going, zooming past, and we need to hear drunk people screaming on the street. Then we understand, okay, now we can sleep. There was nothing. You just hear the silence. It's too much. Yeah, these are guests who go, not devotees. We have guests who go and stay there overnight. And so they say, no, we can't. Now those who manage to stay 2-3 days, even our devotees, they stay 2-3 days, then they come back. Like, oh, we had enough of Sattva Gun, we have had enough, no more. Yeah, stay with the cows. But then there are others who stay there. Bhakti Narasimha Maharaj, he goes there, he stays there like 2 weeks at a row, no problem. Very happy. Yeah. So it's all about how the modes are influencing us and which mode we are comfortable with. Yeah. So we find that people, you tell anyone even today that, go back to the farm life, they're like, why? You want us to be prehistoric people? We came from the caves, you want us to return to the caves? Even to Srila Prabhupada they were saying this, right? That we not want to return to the prehistoric time. We are progressing. Yeah. And therefore we find that now to get people to stay on farms, whether it's India, whether it's here in Africa, wherever throughout the world, is very difficult. Very difficult to get people to stay there for even a considerable amount of time. Because the modes are so influential and people are just in passion and ignorance that they don't want to stay in farms. In India, farmers are selling their farmland because they don't have people to look after the farm. Their own children are out in the cities. So they have to sell the farmland just to move to the city. Right? And so one of the projects we do in ISKCON India, and especially in Maharashtra, is that they have preachers going to the villages and preaching to the villagers there not to sell their farms. Right? Preaching to them that you are doing exactly what the Vedas are telling us to do. Don't sell your farm, go to the cities, live in a very small box, and struggle with so many people. Here you have so much land, you have so much resources, you're peaceful. In the city you'll not be peaceful. So we have devotees there, and they go and they adopt the whole village, and they teach the villagers about Krishna consciousness. They already have temples in the villages, so they call people to come to the temple, give them some Krishna Katha, do Harinam, do Prasadam distribution. Because now everywhere people want just cities, they don't want the villages, they don't want the farms. Everywhere new cities are coming up. So therefore Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is our life, simple living, but high thinking. And we see that Srila Prabhupada himself was also very, very simple in his own dealings. Despite the grand plans and huge projects he is developing, Prabhupada's reflection on his recent tour revealed that his ambitions for Krishna consciousness movement are really quite simple and modest. All the boys and girls are very happy, so that I want, that I live happily and chant Hare Krishna. That's all. We don't want unnecessary luxury. Anartha nivritti syat. Anartha should be reduced, nil, bare necessities. Anartha, just like this material thing we required for preaching. That is not anartha. But when it is used for sense gratification, that is anartha. Anything for sense gratification, that is unwanted, anartha. And anything for Krishna consciousness, that is spiritual. Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam. So whatever we are using, that is not material. It is all spiritual. See, so Srila Prabhupada is giving the summary here that if we are able to chant Hare Krishna happily, that is all. We don't need to do anything more. Whatever helps us do that, that is required, that is spiritual. Anything extra than this, that is anartha. It's not required. And Srila Prabhupada is saying here, sense gratification is not required. Nothing to do with pleasing the senses. That's all anartha. So, simple living, high thinking. This is what he's teaching. Prabhupada also discussed with Saurabh the proposed gift of land in Mahabaleshwar. Although Prabhupada stuck to his decision not to go there until at least October, Saurabh's description of the place was so appealing that Prabhupada told him to go ahead and accept it. Gopal Krishna explained that the donor, Mr. Malhotra, wanted Prabhupada to decide after seeing it personally. But Prabhupada said, we shall go in October. So when Saurabh has seen, that is my scene. Gopal Krishna said that Mr. Malhotra's only condition was that he wanted us to actually develop it. Srila Prabhupada enthusiastically said he was willing to spend several lakhs of rupees there. He said residential quarters could be built and the householders from Bombay could live there. We see again here Srila Prabhupada saying, those in the city, get them out, let them come to places like Mahabaleshwar, which is a more simpler place than Mumbai. That they come there, they live there, they perform their Krishna consciousness there. And he is willing to spend for that. So this is one of the visions Srila Prabhupada had. That devotees live in a natural setting and they form their community and society there. He said the temples in the city were just bases from which we send out soldiers. And then those soldiers go and they get people to live in the farms. That's what he wanted. After Saurabh, Gargamuni and Gopal Krishna left, Maha-Angsa came to inform Srila Prabhupada that the door of his balcony was finally completed and that would be fitted while he took his bath. Maha-Angsa Swami is a soft-spoken, mild-mannered fellow, and Prabhupada smiled after he went out. As I finished his massage, he commented to me that Maha-Angsa was doing nicely. I offered that he was very sincere, and Prabhupada agreed. Everyone likes him. He has no enemy. Nobody has complained against him. I said, he is very even-tempered. Prabhupada chuckled. Neither he has complained against anybody. He does not complain, and nobody complains against him. He added that Mahangsha's mother had been very sorry that he had joined us, but now she is very happy. So here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about one of his disciples, Mahangsha Swami, and he's saying he doesn't complain about anybody and nobody complains about him. Lord Krishna tells us in the Gita, Yasmano dvijate loka, lokano dvijate chaya, harsham asha bhayo dvegay, muktayasa chame priya. He says, one who is not agitated by others, nor do others agitate him. He is equal in harsha and marsha, in joy and sorrow. Such a devotee is very dear to me. These are the qualities that we see Srila Prabhupada appreciating in the disciples. Yes, he is not complaining and nobody is complaining about him. Thorough gentleman. Yeah, very nice, sincere person. Yeah. So this is what Srila Prabhupada was impressed by in this disciple's behavior. Yeah. The last part is about a report given in the newspaper about how devotees are CIA agents. So it's about 2 pages. I'll just read through it. We see Srila Prabhupada's response to this report. A low-class tabloid-style newspaper called Blitz had just published a disparaging article about us. Under the heading, The Ungodly Face of the Krishna Cult, the Blitz editor have attempted to impose sinister intent into our activities here in India. So after Prabhupada got up from his post-lunch nap and we had given him some fresh fruit juice and a newly made flower garland, he met with Jaya Pataka, Gopal Krishna, Gargamuni and Pradyumna in order to formulate a response. The article gave an overview of our projects here, deliberately slanting the facts with fallacious details meant to fuel the speculation of our supposed CIA connections. Srila Prabhupada was not passive about the matter. As he listened to Pradyumna, who read out the article, he told Gopal Krishna to sue the Blitz for $50,000 for their libelous accusations. But at the same time, he retained his sense of humor. Hearing the description of our Bombay property, in point, this is from the article, in point, in Bombay, a huge plot was acquired in Juhu for rupees 14 lakhs. They have put up a temple there with barbed wire fence around it. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, the barbed wire is there. No Blitz editor can go there. We laughed as he added, no dogs and Blitz editors allowed. He told Gopal to include this in his response to them. Every description of our activities was warped in some way or another. Pradyumna read on. This is complete nonsense. Their major concentration seems, however, to be in Orissa, the land of the princes and paupers. They have built a center close to our Atomic Energy Commission complex. Jayapataka Maharaj pointed out that the major complex was simply Gaur Govinda Maharaj living in a few brick and thatched huts. The piece went on trying to paint us as political subversives. They reportedly met also our Deputy Defence Minister J.B. Patnaik, who hails from Orissa. It is understood that Patnaik has asked the District Magistrate of Puri to find land for ISKCON's Sanskrit University there. ISKCON is pursuing not only Krishna, it has started taking interest in politics also. It has founded a political party in the United States called In God We Trust Party. It has already contested civic elections in Los Angeles and intends to put up candidates for the US Congress. So there was a phase in ISKCON where some devotees wanted to pursue politics, and so they made this party, In God We Trust. Prabhupada didn't have a problem with that. What is wrong there? In God We Trust, this party, yes. They are making it sound as if it is a political party, Gopal Krishna explained. They're saying we're using God as a front. They may say, Prabhupada asserted, but we want to put forward a God party also. Why not? Everyone is godless party. We must push forward a God's party. What is wrong there? Our whole movement is to educate this atheistic, godless civilization to God consciousness. That is our movement. So if we set up a party in God we trust, what is wrong there? We are trying to elevate the demoralized human society to God consciousness. The newspaper has somehow managed to obtain internal ISKCON correspondence, citing a letter Prabhupada wrote from Hawaii to the GBC in May. Now we have become more than the British Empire. Even the British Empire was not as expansive as we are. They had only a portion of the world, and we have not completed expanding. We must expand more and more unlimitedly. Prabhupada had a ready answer. You also explain that British Empire expanded by military strength, and we are expanding by Ratha Yatra. We are expanding our empire simply by Ratha Yatra. I paraphrased a headline that had been in New York Times. East meets West. Singing, dancing and chanting, Pradyumna added. Yes, Srila Prabhupada smiled. We introduced 3 chariots in big cities and conquered them. I reminded Srila Prabhupada of a London newspaper headline about our Rath Yatra. Srila Prabhupada nodded. They admitted rival to Nelson's column, in The Guardian even. So who is strong enough? We are stronger than British Empire. Simply by Rath Yatra we are conquering. And actually this is being done. What I have got strength. 40 rupees beginning. Simply Hare Krishna and Rath Yatra. That's all. That's a fact. The article continued with its dark hints that we were up to no good. The Indian government has been rather slow in picking up the ISKCON temple. One reason being that the genuine Krishna devotees in the administration had been mighty pleased in the beginning with the idea of exporting Krishna consciousness to America. It stated that initially action had been taken against allowing foreign devotees to stay in 1971, but that in 1975 the Home Ministry had taken a more lenient view on the specious plea that the mastering of Vaishnav literature, the spiritual diet of the cultists, was not like learning shorthand. Then under the heading, Contrary Pools in Government, the article referred to the current controversy in central government. Lately, of course, the center has become wise through contrary pools in the thinking process still persists. Prabhupada was dismissive of their attempt to blacken our name. This article, no sane man will take notice of it. No sane man will like it. It is not very important article. Still, he said we should bring them into court. He asked his GBCs, but what will be your charges? So, as they were reading the article, Srila Prabhupada was commenting, yes, we have conquered the world with Rath Yatra and Hare Krishna. What is wrong there? We have a political party, in God's we trust. What is wrong there? Right? And we've put barbed wire. So he said barbed wire is for keeping these people out, the Blitz editors out. What is wrong there? And in the end, he's saying it's not an important article. Yeah. But he's asking them, so with this article, what will you charge these people? If you were to counteract, what will you tell them? So that's what he's asking. Defamation of our religious cult, Garga Muni suggested. Because we are recognized by scholars as being bona fide, it says ungodly face of Krishna cult. How is that ungodly? Yes, this is the charge, Prabhupada said. That very heading is a defamation. Ungodly face of Krishna cult. This is the charge. Others are subordinate. This is the main charge. We are spreading Krishna, God, and his ungodly face, minimizing the value of the movement. As it happens, the Blitz offices are in the same building as our lawyer, Mr. Asnani. So Prabhupada told Gopal Krishna to immediately send him a letter and begin the proceedings. So prepare a case for these rascals. We have got a strong case and charge. Why you have made ungodly? Prove it. What you know about godly? Charge them. So there will be discussion, long discussion. What is godly and what is not godly? Put them in the corner. What do you know, rascal, about godly tradition? Then it will be exposed. Immediately plan to bring in the court. So we see here Srila Prabhupada emphasizing not more what they've written about ISKCON and all that. They're saying, how can you say ungodly? Krishna, how is Krishna ungodly? You prove now. Yeah, you prove that what you know what is godly and what is ungodly. This article renewed our fears that perhaps there may be attempts to interfere with Prabhupada personally. He again agreed. as he had in Mumbai, that perhaps he should remain in one place and have proper guard. But we all know that never happened. Srila Prabhupada never remained in one place. He wasn't scared of anything. He was fearless. He moved everywhere. He wasn't worried if people will make an attempt on his life. He agreed with his GBC. Yes, that may be a possibility, but he never agreed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, Maharaj, would you like to add anything? Maharaj has deep history about Mumbai. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much for your class. Going back to farming, there was a video that I saw of New Vrindavan, when New Vrindavan was established. And the devotees there, they built the temple there they call it New Vrindavan. And they established the farming. So they got Radha and Krishna deities there. And in the video, you can actually see like the devotees, they built the temple and also they came up with the farming, and with the same fruits and vegetables that they planted, even flowers, they use that and offer it to the Lord. So that by watching that video, it captured my heart. So this is the importance of developing a farming for Krishna's pleasure. Yeah.
Yes. We see even in there is an eco village in Hungary. The same concept is there. Lord Krishna in the center. Devotees grow what they eat and eat what they grow. Right? And in that way, they try to sustain the temple there by producing whatever is necessary for deity worship and live a simple life and engage in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.